It's Mark, Smitty M14. It's been a little while since I've done an update. It was before Bugeater, so it would have been the end of May, actually. So almost a month ago. Anyway, this video is hopefully going to be quick. I shot it a couple different times. I kind of started to ramble, so it was getting long, and I want to make it short. So hopefully I can get everything taken care of here shortly. And as I'm saying that, I'm rambling. But there's a couple things I want to talk about. I want to talk about Bugeater, how it went, and then also I want to talk really quick about a question that somebody put up on a YouTube channel, recent subscriber of mine, and I just recently subscribed back to them. So we'll tackle that at the end. But first off, hobby-wise, there really hasn't been a lot of hobby work going on for me. Kind of had some life changes a couple months ago that forced me to have a new job, that the hours suck, really cuts into personal time. But good news is, found something different that I'm going to have normal working hours again, just better all the way around. So I have one more week at my current job, and then I start a new job. After that, a couple weeks of training, and then I should be back to normal life again. Thank God, I am happy. So anyway, what hobby stuff I have on the plate? I'm finishing my Marines yet. I have, I think, the last 10 or 12 guys on my table. It's just picking out details and then doing the wash and basing on it. Then they're done. So all my infantry for the 3 Marine Army lists I have dreamed up right now will be done. I think I've got my Stuart done. I'm trying to think of what all I've done since my last update. Got my little Stuart tank done. Got my early war LVTs in from Mad Bob Miniatures, which they are sweet. We'll do separate videos of all the updates on the Marines, and I'll do a video of those Marine or Mad Bob Miniature LVTs because they're really, I like them. They're really cool. So other than that, I did do a new half-track for my German Army that I took to Bugeater, so I won't show that here. I'll do a video separate of that for that German Grenadier Army series that I had going. So it was a Rubicon kit. It was a really cool kit. Really enjoy their models. Anyway, let's talk about Bugeater quick. So Bugeater was June 3rd and June 4th. There was 24 bolt action players, so we had 12 tables going. They had Infinity there, 40K. Excuse me, 40K was actually a big chunk of it. I think they had 36 players, so we were getting close to them. I think they had some drop zone commander. They planned on having X-Wing, but they had a few people drop, so they had to cancel that. I think they had some War Machine there. I don't know if they had Fantasy there or not, to be honest with you. It was kind of, really didn't get a lot of time to walk around and look at stuff, but it was a pretty good tournament. The overall tournament organizer came up to our group when we were wrapping up the bolt action part and told us that they raised almost $4,000 as of that point anyway, and they still had gaming going on for the rest of Sunday. Almost $4,000, and that money goes to, this year it went to the Millard North and Millard West high school teams, high school debate teams in Omaha, Nebraska. So congratulations to those kids. It's a huge chunk of money for a debate team, so congrats. They were there serving food and concessions and coming around to tables, asking if you wanted something to drink, and you know, great group of kids. You guys deserve that money, so good job. Sean, Wahoo Warrior Channel, he had a drawing for Kelly's Heroes Army that was donated by Paul Walker from War HQ UK, or warhq.co UK, or whatever it is. Can't think of it right off the top of my head. So I think Sean raised a little over $420, I think. I can't remember exactly what it was, for a veterans group. So congratulations, Sean. That's awesome as well. If you haven't checked out Sean's channel, Wahoo Warrior, I suggest you do so. He does a lot of bolt action battle reports and very knowledgeable of the game. Very good guy, very good player. I haven't played him for a while. He was actually some of my first games that I played of Bold Action, and I hope I get to play him again here somewhat soon. Maybe if I have some more time, I'll have to reach out to him and see what I can do. But anyway, we played 5 games, 3 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. So it was a lot of Bold Action played. We were running about 2.5 hours. They allowed us 3 hours for each game, but we were kind of running ahead for the most part. We had a swag bag for everybody that participated in the tournament. Swag bag isn't like anything huge, but keep in mind this is for to raise money for a debate team. So I mean, the reason even that we got something I think was pretty cool. So we got Bugeater patch, which is pretty cool. We got Bugeater dice. We got 10 of them. They showed up I think the day before the tournament because there was some talk whether they were going to be there in time because of whatever reason, but they did make it. They're pretty nice dice. I actually used them for the tournament. They rolled fairly decent. You wouldn't know that by the results, which I'm going to give you here shortly, but I'm not going to blame it on the dice totally. Maybe a little bit. But then we each, in the Bold Action, we each got a sprue. This is German Grenadiers, which is the army I took. I'll get back to it eventually, and I'll use those. So that's pretty cool. But anyway, I also played Ryan Carlson. He's part of the Wahoo Warrior group, and he gave me a couple Wahoo Warrior dice, which is awesome. Thanks, Ryan, for that. Ryan's a cool guy, funny as hell. We had a good game. We'll talk about that in a little bit here. So Bugeater, like I said, didn't do great. It's fine. I just went to have fun, play some games against people I haven't played before. We'll have a very rare chance of playing again. So the first game I played was against John Stentz. He ran a British list, had some Gurkhas. He had 2 squads of Gurkhas and trucks with machine guns on them. He put those in the outflank because we did supply cache, which you basically have 3 objectives on each table edge. And the goal is to obviously defend your objectives and capture the other person's objectives. So those Gurkhas on the outflank, man, he put them on both flanks, and when they came in, man, they freaking did some damage. I think the only thing left had at the end of the game was my Puma, and he was working on destroying that. So he kicked my ass. So I got a major loss. I didn't find out until after the game that John, who's from Minneapolis, Minnesota, if I haven't said that already, he actually was the overall winner last year for the tournament, and then he ended up being the overall winner this year for it too. So getting my ass kicked by him, I was like, it's all right. So, but he was a nice guy. It was a fun game. My Puma actually did fairly decent. He had a Bofors truck, I think that's what it's called, and then he had an armored car. And I took out the truck, and then I had to rally my Puma, which it successfully did. Then ended up taking out the armored car both. So I mean, and my Puma survived till the end with those 2 bearing down on it. So it wasn't a total loss, I guess. But major loss, first game. It's all right. Second game was against John Stanley, and this was a point defense game. So you had a choice of being attacker or defender. Defender had 3 objectives that they had to defend, and obviously the attacker had to take them. This game ended up as a draw. John runs Japanese. I've played him. This is the second time I've played him, actually. I played him in a tournament in Lincoln a couple years ago. He runs about 18, 19 order dice to my 9. So looking back on that game, I probably wasn't that aggressive, but I don't know if I could have been more aggressive without really risking losing a lot of troops. There's definitely no way that I would have been the defender, because all he would have had to do was swarm 2 objectives, and I wouldn't have been able to compete. 19 dice versus 9. Yeah, he would have ended up with a victory of some kind, either a minor or a major. So it was me going for the draw at least and preventing him from getting more points than just draw points. But he set up hidden with everything. and he stayed hidden with probably everything for at least 3 turns for most of it. He moved a couple units, but for the game, a great majority of it was hidden for at least for almost the whole game, which you have to get within 6 inches at that point with it, since it's mostly infantry that he had. So it just made for a boring game. Maybe I could have been more aggressive, but I don't think that would have changed things in hindsight. He had 3 suicide anti-tank guys camped right around the objectives too, so I couldn't really run up my half-track or my Puma up on the objectives because they would have been taken out by those guys. Um, you know, nothing against John. Um, he played his army to his strength, and there was not much I could do with it, in my opinion. So, um, it it just wasn't a fun game when you're trying to root out hidden units, but that's how the game's played. So, anyway, enough said about that. Ryan Carlson was my third game. Ryan's the one that gave me the Wahoo Warrior dice. Ryan is a freaking awesome guy. He's funny as hell. We had more fun laughing and bullshitting than playing the game. There was a couple times that I was like, "Ah, hell, I could have shot with those guys," and Ryan's like, "Well, if you want to go back and do that, you can." And I'm like, "No, we were getting distracted by talking and bullshitting and just having fun." So I mean, it didn't affect the game any, but it was just kind of funny. It's like, oh shit, could have done that. But we played Breach the Defensives, where you're at alternate or opposite or edges, table corners, excuse me, and you have to go into each other's deployment zone. Our tactics were mirrored image, and Ryan actually ran Finn's. He had 9 order dice to my 9 order dice, so we were pretty balanced. So his decision was to leave some guys in his deployment zone, which I kind of did too for the most part. I kind of set up a perimeter a little bit, and I guess actually he did too. Now that I think about it, but he took some of his units around this way, and I took some of mine kind of around this way, and I held off his units coming in, and I actually got some units into his deployment zone, but he ended up having more units in it than I did, which caused a draw. If I'd have had more units than him in his deployment zone at the end of the game, then I would have got a minor victory at least. But it was a blast of a game to play. I mean, it was a lot of back and forth, a lot of dynamic moments in that game. One of the funniest parts of it, and Ryan, if you ever watch this, next time I'll put a target on the back of my half track for you, or on my half track somewhere, the front and the back. To give you a story about that, you get to that point in bold action where you're playing cat and mouse with the dice, where you don't want to bring on a vehicle because you want to see where the other person brings on their tank. We came to that, except for it was my half track with a veteran squad and veteran officer in it versus his tank. We got down to the last 2 dice, order dice, and one was his and one was mine, and I got mine first. So I had to deploy my half track, and there really wasn't a good place to put it. I wanted to put it close enough to his deployment zone so I could zoom in there and get stuff deployed right away and start working on his units in there. So there's actually a road that ran like this on the table and then teed off like this, and there was a building here on the where my face is at, and then there was a building below across the road from that. Then along this section there was a group of buildings too. So what I did is I went for it. I was like, it's time just to be ballsy and risk it. And I thought I could get up and around the corner and get behind the buildings on the road with my half track if I ran it. And I misjudged the distance by quite a bit. And I made it. I was in the middle of the road. I didn't even have enough distance to make it around the corner. So he brings on his tank, and I'm like, it's done. My half track's toast. I'm gonna have to replan things. He shoots, misses. I'm like, holy shit. Okay, I got a second chance. So now it's the next turn who gets the first die, and I think I ended up getting the first die on it because I went around the corner, ran, got closer to his deployment zone. He gets the next one, brings his tank around, and fires at the rear of my half track, misses again, which was comical, obviously, for me, not so much for Ryan. Um, he ended up shooting at my half track 3 times and missing it 3 times with this tank, so it was pretty good. But Ryan was a blast to play. It was a good game to end my Saturday on. So Sunday we played 2 games. First game I played was Josh Dunn, who was the Bold Action Tournament organizer. We had a person drop the second day due to personal reasons. So I got to play Josh. He was running U.S. Marines. So his Marines versus my Grenadiers. We played a take and hold scenario. So I decided to be the defender because he had more dice than I did, order dice. So I camped a veteran squad on the objective in the center of the table, which was a shell crater, and then I had 2 regular squads around them to kind of provide cover. This game ended up as a draw as well. It was a really great game, actually. He did a really good job of pinning down my half track. He pinned down my half track where I had to rally it twice, and at one point in time my half track was at a point where I still had my veteran squad in it, which obviously is taking pins as well. And the half track, I already rallied my veteran squad inside. My half track was almost about to be pinned out, so we were like, well, how does that work if you pin out the transport with a unit inside? So we decided that if it got pinned out, then the unit would just bail out of it, and the half track would be gone. But anyway, I rallied my half track twice and my veteran squad twice inside of it, and he basically took them out of the fight. They didn't get anywhere. They just got deployed on the table, and that was it. Which was a huge impact to me, obviously. That it was 2 big units to me that I was really looking forward to getting to the center and pushing his stuff away from that objective. But we ended up in a draw. It was a fun game. We had a father-son watch our game for a great majority of it, actually, probably well over half. They came up from Kansas to watch the 40K tournament, and they were interested in Bold Action, so they watched us. We kind of talked to them about Bold Action, how it worked, and what to check out, what to think of when you're buying armies, yada yada yada. So that was actually pretty fun. I actually enjoyed doing that and having that conversation with those two. And hopefully, I'm pretty confident that they'll be into Bold Action definitely by this time next year. So hopefully they're at the tournament next year. That'd be really cool. Before I go on to the last game, since we're talking about Josh, Josh is from Sioux City area, and he did an awesome job with that tournament, and the guys that helped him, kudos to all you guys. All 12 tables were, you'll see at the end of this video, some of the tables. All 12 tables were like that. They were packed full of terrain. There's some hills on there that are underneath the mats that you can't really see in the pictures. So some of them might look like they're open, but there's some hills blocking line of sight. So kudos to you guys. I mean, you guys did a really damn good job. So keep up the good work, because it was a blast to play. Last game was with Walter Reisner. I can't remember where Walter's from, to be honest with you. Sorry, Walter, if you watch this. We played max attrition with a little bit of a twist. The deployment zone was like a L-shaped deployment zone on each side, so it added a little bit of a twist. It was kind of nice, actually. It was a pretty fun game to play. I ended up getting a major loss on this game because of 2 individual models. So frustrating, but it was an awesome game. Walter and I had a lot of fun. He was running Fallschirmjäger army, German Fallschirmjäger, 9 order dice to my 9 order dice, German Grenadiers. Really kind of mirrored each other outside the fact that he had an air observer and he had a Panzer IV, which I ran a Panzer IV with my army before I decided to switch it out for the Puma. And so I kind of knew what to expect from his army, obviously. He ran a lot of veterans, uh, which are tough, as anybody that's played bolt action knows, to destroy. His air observer didn't do any damage to me. In fact, he rolled a 1, so it would have been friendly fire, but we ended up shooting the freaking airplane down. It's the only time that well, actually, take that back. The game with Josh, he called in the air observer. I shot down the airplane. First time ever I've done that in bolt action. Second game, Walter and I both shot down his own airplane, which hurt me because it was on his own guys. So, but anyway, that air observer hung on for the whole freaking game. I had a veteran squad within 18 inches of it. Couldn't kill it. Could not kill it at all. The only reason I did not assault it was the intent was to take out the air observer, and then that veteran squad was in between the air observer and like a machine gun team and a couple other units. So I wanted to take out the air observer, then move on to the machine gun team. But I couldn't kill the air observer. That was one guy that caused me a major loss. The other was he had a veteran squad that I whittled down to one guy with my heavy mortar, my half track, and I think either my veteran officer or a regular squad. I can't remember which, but I got him down to one guy in that squad at the end of the game, and he hung on. And those two guys cost me a major loss instead of a draw or maybe even a minor victory. But it was a fun game. Walter was a nice guy as well. So enough about Bugeater. This is probably a ramble too, which I wanted to avoid. But last thing here is I had a recent subscriber to my channel, Basic Miniature Painting, and I subscribed to his. I checked out one of his videos the other day, his latest one actually. And a question in there that he had was, will playing the game make me paint better? Before I get to that question, if you're really into Warhammer, I suggest go checking out his channel. It's a fairly new channel. I think I might have said that before. It's about 3 months, I think, ago was his first video. But he's definitely got some, I think he's got some good painting skills, so go check him out if you're interested. But anyway, his question was, like I said, will playing the game make me paint better? And when I first saw that question in the title, I was thinking one thing. And I'll reply to how I was thinking he was going to ask the question. But actually the question, the way he was asking that and what his intent was do you paint to a higher level if you know you're taking your army or those models to a club, gaming club, tournament, or that you know other people are going to see it, versus models that you know are just going into like your own display cabinet, or like models that are going to stay at home and not see, you know, light outside of your house. And I think that's an interesting question. Me personally, I left a comment on his video, but I'll add to it here, or put my comment here too. Me personally, I think I paint the same regardless. I don't want to, and it's not that you're shortchanging yourself if you paint to two different standards. You don't push yourself when you paint for your own self. That stuff's not going to leave your house versus stuff you're going to take to a tournament. I don't want to say it's shortchanging yourself, but I try to paint to the same level regardless of if it's stuff I'm keeping here or stuff that I'm taking out. Just for the simple fact that it may be something I take out later to a tournament or to play somebody or whatever the case is. It also helps with your painting skill, right? Because if you paint at a certain skill level all the time, you're going to improve your skill level. It's going to go up where you can learn new techniques, tricks, and then you can build on your painting experience. So I like to paint the same to the same level and standard regardless of what the models are and what they're used for. That's how I would answer that. Now, how I thought the question was originally going to be asked is, does playing games make you paint better because you have to paint them to play the game. I guess I don't really know how really to put it in words, but one of the biggest hangups that I had when I got into this hobby, and I got into this hobby when I was in my mid 20s, so I got into it late. I was looking at so many blogs, so many how to paint stuff, that it was analysis paralysis, where I had so much information and different techniques, and people saying this and people saying that. Try this, try that, try this brush, try that brush, try this paint, try this paint. That I didn't get any painting done because now I don't know. I have so much information and stuff to try. What do you try first? And then you run into the issue of, or I did anyway, of, well, I can't paint to that skill level of that guy. So I was comparing my work to somebody else's work, and I just stopped painting between the two things. Too much information, too much thought going into it, and comparison of people that had way more experience than I did in painting. So my advice to people is to let that go. Just start painting. Use a couple of tips and techniques, but just painting in general is going to improve your skill set tremendously because it's all about practice. It's all about muscle memory and technique. You add a technique, you get that technique down, you add another technique. You just keep adding to your repertoire. I had the most fun with my hobby when I figured out that I'm going to paint for myself. I don't care what other people think about my stuff. I'm going to paint for myself and get it done. I started having way more fun when I started doing that. I let all that other shit go. So don't give a shit about what other people think about your armies. We think about way too much stuff in this hobby. We get so wrapped up into so many different things that it kills our production and our fun in this hobby. It's a hobby for fun. Okay? Competitive painters are going to tell you, and professional painters are going to tell you that there's always room for them to improve. So if they have room to improve, we all have room to improve. Okay? The thing is, paint your stuff, get it done, do what you like, what you're comfortable with, and to hell with what other people think. Okay? Just do it. If you don't paint, you're not going to get any better. And it's your army. At the end of the day, who cares? If you want to paint shit purple, that's supposed to be brown, paint it purple. Who cares? That's all I gotta say. So, get over the obstacle. If you're at that point in your hobby where you feel like you're not comfortable with your painting style or your skill set, just start painting. Paint stuff. Paint, paint, paint. Try a technique. When you get that technique down, add to it. When I paint my miniatures, I just paint them. I do maybe a highlight, maybe very rarely on my miniatures, but then the rest is a wash and I base it. That's all I do. I don't spend hours doing 3 levels of flesh tone or whatever the case is, or several highlights. They still look good on the table. That's all I do. For on my vehicles, I might do a highlight, like a zenith highlight with an airbrush now that I've started to try that technique. I'll do some chipping, some weathering, very minor weathering, and then that's it. And they look good on the table. So that's all it is. It's add to it. I have stuff in my cabinets and in storage that I painted a long time ago that looks like crap now. You know, maybe not crap, that's kind of harsh, but I mean, it doesn't look great now, but it was at my skill level at that point in time. You're going to get better. So practice. Keep painting. Keep doing the hobby. The more you do it, the better you're going to get. End of story. That being said, I've rambled enough. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the recent subscribers. I hope you're all doing well. Be good to each other. Enjoy the hobby. It's a hobby. That's what it's here for. Don't take it so damn seriously all the time. So anyway, take care of yourselves. Bye. Okay guys, here's some pictures from the Bugeater tournament. This is the first table I played John Stentz on. I was on the bottom corner or bottom side, and it was a fun table to play with. It's pretty open in the middle. This table I did not play on, but it was another great table that they had at the tournament. A nice winter theme. There's 12 tables in all, and they were all set up really good. Tournament organizers did a really good job for putting terrain out. I didn't get to play on this table, but I thought it was a pretty cool table. Pretty open, lanes of fire, but lots of buildings um, to sneak around in as well. I did play on this table. I played John Stanley on this table with his Japanese. You can see two white poker chips on the right hand side. There's actually one behind that little house in the middle there. There should be another picture coming up. So there's one by that church wall, the little clump of trees on the right, and then you can barely see the clump of trees in the middle. So he basically stacked his squads and suicide anti-tank guys around those and hunkered down, and it was kind of tough to get to. This was a table I played Ryan Carlson on. So the story I'm going to tell, or told earlier, was I made it up to the corner where those two buildings are on the bottom side with my half track the first time, and I couldn't make it around the corner. I played Josh Dunn on this table. I was in the middle shell crater. That's where the objective was. There's a lot of hills that you can't see on this picture. That really blocked line of sight. It was fun to play on. Just this is John Stentz's army, British. Good list, has Gurkhas in it. The trucks with the machine guns, he put those on outflank on me with the Gurkha squad in each one on each flank, and they totally wiped me out. This is Japanese army. I don't know whose it is. If anybody that was at Bugeater knows whose armies these are, put them in the comments below, please. Appreciate it. It's a nice looking army. This is the army that Sean gave away to his patrons for drawing. Paul Walker at War HQ UK won this. It's an airborne platoon. Really nice looking army. Congratulations, Paul. And this is French, I believe. I don't know who this was from. I think the guy was from Minnesota, I believe, Minneapolis area, possibly. This was actually a French Indochina list for French, so something a little different. Kind of a small army, but pretty cool idea to bring something outside of World War II. So French Indochina is pretty cool to see. Here's a Russian list. I don't know whose this is. I don't know off the top of my head. But nice looking little army and display board there. This is a British list, airborne list. I believe Dan played against this list. I didn't get to play against it. Nice looking army and great looking little display board there too as well. And I don't know whose this is. It looks like a German army. I didn't get to play against these guys or this guy here, but neat looking little army there. Next one here is Japanese. I can't remember the gentleman's name. He's from Urbandale, Iowa here actually. Would like to get a game in with him. Really nice looking Japanese army and nice looking display board. And then I had video of this display board because I thought it was probably one of the best ones there, and the video didn't turn out, unfortunately. A lot of work went into this display board, and the army was pretty cool looking too. My choice for best army.